G'day guys, welcome back to the Iron Empire. This week, I'm turning my F100 into a Dailey for 10 grand. Firstly, let me say, if you don't want to hear me talking, maybe this isn't the episode for you because there's going to be a lot of that. So for those of you who know the channel, you will know that I swapped this F100 for a Series 1 XR8 AU. The AU owed me probably around 2 grand, so that's more or less what I figure this thing owes me sitting here right now. I've done a few little minor things to it, but not much to speak of. Now you may be wondering, 10 grand, why does it cost that much? I have been using it as a daily off and on, but I want this thing to be plush. I want all the creature comforts of a late model car, or as close as I can get, and I'm not really going to spare much expense. That doesn't mean I'm going to be reckless, but I'm going to go all out. So at the moment I'm using a BA Falcon Ute, dedicated gas thing, which I've had for a little while, and it's a pretty good car, but it's not exactly an all-rounder because typical, I wanted the thing low and it hasn't got a tow bar anyway. It isn't really rated for high capacity towing and it doesn't tick all the boxes. My other option is my Kia truck, which is a turbo diesel lightweight truck, which is quite a handy ute, but once again doesn't tick all the boxes because one, it's not very cool, but two, it is uncomfortable. Sitting over the axles all day long does my back in. I want to make this thing into the ultimate country cruiser, but also be able to handle day-to-day challenges. So here's my list that I've created on my makeshift whiteboard. The budget is 10 grand because that's what I figure I can get for both of my utes if I sell them with today's market. I may get a bit more, I may get a bit less, but I think that's around the money. I'm gonna have to aim for 10 because I have to do this while I still have those because I can't be carless. Now this list is obviously only an estimation of what I think I'm gonna have to spend, and I'm gonna try and keep it within budget. And also bear in mind that a lot of these things are going to be grey areas because I've either already purchased them or I've swapped them for other parts or swapped them for my labour. Okay, so starting at the most important, as far as I'm concerned, interior. Now, I already purchased months ago this carpet, which I think was about $150, and the sound deadener I've had for years. It was brand new in a box, so I haven't really counted that. The seat, I'm unsure if I'm going to modify the bench to make it more buckety and much more supporting, or if I put buckets in it, I'm unsure, but I'm going to allow $1,000 for a seat. Air conditioning, this is a huge thing for me. I am the biggest sook when it comes to summer. I hate the heat, I hate sweating, and I hate stinking. So air conditioning is an absolute must for a daily driver. Now, I've been collecting under-dash air conditioners for years. Whenever I see them, usually they're giveaway because they're old, ancient things. People throw them away, they don't want them in their cars. But most of my cars are old junk anyway, and they're period. They look fine, and they still work great. I have an underdash air conditioner, or a few to pick from. I also have a Fairlane in the paddock, which I can pick a lot of parts from, as in air conditioning bracketry, the condenser, some lines, pulleys, whatever I may need. One thing I do want to do is upgrade from the factory Ford air conditioning pump, which is a York style pump, which I believe is a piston. They're not the most efficient pumps out there, so I'm going to upgrade to a Sandon, I think it is. And I've actually scored a lot of air conditioning parts from a friend of mine, Tony Gerace, in exchange for some jobs. But give or take a few bits and pieces I'm going to need along the way, I'm allowing $400. Which I believe I can do with secondhand parts. Stereo, now I want to go all out. I want Bluetooth, I want Apple CarPlay, I want you name it, right? I'm allowing $700 for a unit because I've already found the unit I want, which is around that money. The door speakers and maybe some other cab speakers I am going to pinch from the Kia truck that I'm going to sell because I put a good stereo system in that because I am a huge muso. I love my music, I love it loud, so it has to have a good stereo. I also, in that truck, have a Kicker Hideaway sub, which is an all-in-one unit, which is a sub with an amp and it gives it some rumble, and they're perfect for utes and trucks like this with not much cab space. I'm also going to pull that out of the truck and go in this, so that is free. Door rubbers. I already bought those door rubbers. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I think it was about $100 for the pair. So they'll be going in the car, and I put that in interior because that is all about the interior experience, drivability, and making it nice and quiet and comfortable in there. Now overall, the interior and dash and everything in this truck is actually pretty good. It will need a little bit of tidying up along the way, but most of that is detailing and maybe a bit of paint or polishing or whatever, so that's more or less stuff that's free as well. Now on to drivability. I'm usually a manual guy through and through, but for a daily driver, this thing has a 4-speed truck box. It is not fun to drive, it's not fast to drive, it sucks. Basically, I need an automatic. Now I have a C4, which is quite light duty for a vehicle like this, but I do have a C4 already at my disposal that's coming out of my XB GS that I'm building at the moment. So I'm going to use that along with a big trans cooler. So I'm going to allow $100 for a trans cooler because they're not overly expensive, and I think that will get me out of trouble. All right, now as for ride height, in the first video on this truck I had mentioned that I haven't decided whether I want to leave it high or go low. I've decided I want to go low, but what I think I'm going to do is run big wheels and tires, but bring the truck low, so it still looks low, but I still get some ground clearance. To get that job done, I have got a set of springs, lowered shackles, shocks, and a few other bits and pieces for the rear end. I paid $350. I got that from Phil Edmondson, who's building an F100 as well, before he decided to go for a 4-link. So I've got that. That's going in the rear. Now the front end, I think I need to go about 2 inches lower to bring this thing to about level, which means I might get away without doing drop I-beams in the front, because that is about a $1,500 expense that I'm not interested in doing. So I think I can comfortably get about 2 inches out of the front of this thing, which is going to allow me, with a bit of a shave of the bump stop, it's going to allow me probably another couple of inches of travel. So with a set of heavy duty front lowered shocks, I might get away with it. We'll see how that pans out. Now the front end, I am also expecting to spend a bit of money on shocks, you know, bushings or whatever else I may need. So I'm allowing $650 for that. It makes these two $1,000 even. And also power steering. Now this thing is getting power steering. I picked up a Datsun power steering box already with a modified pitman arm to suit an F100, which is a common upgrade for these things, as power steering F100s are very rare. I picked that up for $900, and as far as I know, apart from some lines, there's not much else that I need to do to make that all work. I'm going to use that along with a electric power steering pump, which is $60 from You Pull It. So I honestly believe that I'm going to get away with that for under $1,000. Now on to cosmetics. All I need to do on this truck is the roof. I need to repair that. There's a few little spots on that. That is getting rust repaired, and the roof will go white again. Cheap, very easy. I'll do it myself, and it's just 2K solid white. And I decided that I want to clear the truck. I'll probably go a satin clear because the body's rough, and I'll simply polish up all the trims, which will make it look sweet. I think I'm going to get away with that for $500 because it's a bit of clear paint. It's just going to need a Scotch-Brite and hammer it easy. The grill, I actually picked up a grill insert and a whole grill surround. I picked up the grill surround and some other bits for $50, and a grill insert for $50 as well. I've already bought that stuff a long time ago, so that's a cheap upgrade to make that look a lot nicer than it is. Glass and tint. Now I'm going to try and score some side glass. If you know of anywhere to find this stuff, please let me know. I haven't found it for less than about $150 per side, but it is also hard to get a hold of. So I'm either going to polish the side glass or replace it, and I'm going to tint the whole truck. So I'm allowing $500 worst case scenario, $200 best case. Slider window, the rear end. A friend of mine from school, Luke, does slider windows for all sorts of automotive stuff, and we are going to do a slider window in the back of this thing. I can't remember the figure he gave me, but I'm going to trade a bit of work for his work, and maybe I'll allow about $300 for that, which will obviously allow a bit of air through the cab. Trims. Now, I have already bought 2 trims for this thing. One was down the back bottom quarter, and one was also the tail light surround. That was $100 in total. A tonneau I'm going to get through my friend Brenton Pike. He's done tonneaus on 2 more videos for me. I can't remember what he charges, but I think around $300. I'll put a nice tonneau on it, keeping my tools safe. Wheels, I already bought a set of globes for this thing for $300 off a friend Sean. Mirrors, I'm allowing $100 because I don't like those. Tailgate, I just want a junk tailgate so I can de-skin mine, belt it straight, and then stitch it onto another old one with a good insert. So if I can get one with a good back that's not destroyed, I'll just cut the skin off, put mine on so it all matches, because the back of that thing is horrible. Now all this is going to allow me around $3,000 to do an almighty 351 V8 build. Now that doesn't sound like a lot of money, and it isn't. But what I've got is a couple of 302 Clevelands, not including the one that's in the truck, to choose from as a base. I've got a 351 crank and rods at home that I've had for many years. And I think if I can linish up that crank and I can utilize those rods with a very basic recondition, put a set of maybe pistons and rings, maybe just rings, we'll see how good they come up, a set of bearings, and then onto some top end stuff, I think I can get this done. So what you guys don't know is that a few months ago I already bought a cam, lifters, valve springs and timing chain set for this thing, because I wanted to make it have a bit more poke and sound a bit better. And I've been waiting on the cam, which I finally got ground. It was $180, was a regrind, and I'm this far in. I thought, you know what, I've got the 351 crank, why not just do a build separate and then just swap it over. That way I got the cubes, I got a fresh motor, and I'm going to have a hell of a better outcome in the long run. So this is obviously a very vague guess of what it's all going to cost me down here. The cam was $180. The valves and timing chain set, everything there was about $700, and the rest is who knows what. But I think for $3,000 I can make that work, which is more or less a rough $10,000 outlay. I think the fact that this thing owes me $2,000 now, adding $10,000 to the total, it's going to be a $12,000 truck with a hell of a lot of features. Honestly, I can't remember the last time I've seen an F100 out there with that amount of work done to it. And nowadays, to get anything remotely that good, I mean, given the body's probably a lot better, we're talking 20, 30K. So I'm not doing this to make money, but bottom line is, if I get sick of it or if I don't like it, I can flog it off anyway. It's not a big deal. But basically, that's the plan. And obviously it's going to make a lot of videos for you guys. So this is going to be potentially a 6-month build, maybe more, but I'll try and do it in stages. I'm really keen to get this thing on the road and more comfortable. I'm going to start with more the comfort levels, as in air conditioning, the interior nice, and then obviously the motor build will be sort of going on in the background. So if that sounds like something you guys would like to follow, please, if you haven't already, jump on, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All right, so enough of me talking. Please come back next time where I get stuck into the interior. Cheers, guys.